But here is the thing. You need to understand that your relationship with the person you're arguing or fighting with is more important than winning an argument. But if you have ego, you will never see that. Hi, Anesu here. Welcome to Life Talk, where we're going to be discussing about some of the major issues that are affecting our young generation on day-to-day basis. We're going to be helping each other to stretch and maximize our potential. In the previous video, we looked at anger and we were mainly focusing on accumulated anger. But in this video, we're going to be focusing on two major things. The first one being some of the things that you have to be watchful of, or some of the things that you have to avoid, especially in an argument context. And then two, we're also going to be looking at some of the things that one can do in order for them to express or let out the anger that is already inside of them. The first factor that we're going to consider is do not take things personal. Do not take things personal. And this is probably by far one of the most difficult factors to implement or to put into practice, especially in an argument context. And why do I say this? I say this because usually when people argue, they tend to attach themselves to the argument. So whatever that happens throughout the argument, or whatever the outcome of the argument might be, they are very much hurt. I'm sure you have experienced before, just like I have experienced it before. It is because you've allowed yourself to invest your emotions, to invest yourself into the argument. So because of that, whatever that happens, it really affects you to a greater extent. But you need to understand that whatever the outcome of the argument is, or whatever is said throughout the argument, that does not define who you are. You need to master to detach yourself from an argument. Otherwise, you are constantly going to be hurt now and again. I have witnessed this, especially during my high school days. During break time or lunch time, boys would usually gather around, and then sometimes they have arguments. Arguments arise because of different points of views, and this argument could be about football. But at the end of the argument, it's no longer about football anymore. These people are getting personal, right? They're exchanging words that are very much hurtful. But this topic has nothing to do with these guys. It had nothing to do with them, but they've allowed themselves to be invested into the argument, and because of that, things end up getting personal. We have seen this, and probably you've also been part of it, where you argue about something that has nothing to do with you, but at the end of the day, you end up getting angry, you end up getting emotional, you just feel like crushing the other party. Why is that so? It's because you've allowed yourself to be invested. So try by all means to detach how you feel or your emotions from an argument. In as much as I know some arguments are very personal, but try by all means to understand that an argument is an argument and detach yourself from it. Number two is get ego out of the way. Ego is very dangerous. Ego has ruined so many marriages, relationships, business partnerships, friendships, you name it. The moment you allow ego to get in your way, you become so disastrous. You can ruin your relationships. Sometimes chances are high that you get angry, as well as frustrating and making other people angry as well. There are some people who fail to admit of their wrongdoings just because of ego. They do not see themselves lowering themselves down in the admitting of their wrongdoings because they are allowing ego to come in their direction. But here is the thing. You need to understand that your relationship with the person you're arguing or fighting with is more important than winning an argument. But if you have ego, you will never see that. But do you know that sometimes if you eliminate ego, you're even able to apologize and lower yourself down to admit that you're wrong even if you're not wrong, or just to apologize even if you know that you're right and the other person is wrong. You're able to do that just to save your relationship because you understand that your relationship with that person is much more important than winning an argument. But if you have ego, you will never be able to do that. And chances of you getting angry and frustrated, they are very high. So sometimes just eliminate ego and be true to yourself. The third factor is do not raise your voice in an argument. Try to keep your voices low. This is not some form of rocket science. This is just basic stuff, common sense. If you look at any fights that originate from an argument, it followed through some certain steps. It started off as just a conversation, normal conversation, people exchanging views, people exchanging different thoughts. But as time proceeded, their voices escalated, and then suddenly it broke into a fight. Why is that so? The moment you try to raise your voice, right? Remember, I'm also trying to make a point. I'm also going to try and override your voice so that I make my point. In so doing, you're also going to do the same thing. You're going to try and override my voice. And in so doing, it's just going to piss you off. It's going to get under your skin. It's going to push you to the edge. And at the end of the day, you're going to really get angry, you're going to get frustrated, and you're going to fight. So try by all means not to raise your voice, because raising your voice does not prove a point. Keep that in mind. Raising your voice does not prove a point. So one of the ways to avoid getting angry in an argument is trying to keep your voice low. If they are to raise their voices, let them do so. At the end of the day, they will look very stupid if you keep your voice low. Try by all means to keep your voices low. Number 4 is being aware of yourself. Every time before your body shows externally that you're really angry, before that happens, you feel it inside of you. You really feel the rage rising. You feel your emotions being pushed to the edge. You feel that anger rising. The moment you feel that you're getting angry, before you show it outside, try to distract those emotions. Try by all means to distract. You can either do that by moving away or just leaving the environment of the situation, or you can do it by trying to be humorous. I don't know what method works for you, but when you feel that your anger is rising, try by all means to distract that feeling before you take any action. Because the consequences, if you allow yourself to board to those feelings, the consequences can be really bad. You can end up saying what you did not want to say or doing what you regret doing. So the moment you feel the rage rising or the anger rising, try by all means to distract that. So be self-aware. Be aware of yourself. Be mindful of yourself. Understand your emotions. Know your emotions. Understand how you feel at any time. If you're really getting angry, try by all means to distract that feeling. Number 5 is understanding that you're not always right. Many people suffer from this syndrome. Many people always want to be right. Many people always think that they are right every time. But what happens is that those people with that kind of a mindset, if things go otherwise, those people get angry. They get hurt emotionally. But if you condition your mind and understand that things do not always go the way you want them to go, chances are you will not be hurt. If you understand that it's not always that I'm always right, sometimes I can be wrong. If you condition your mind and understand that, you will see that whatever the circumstance might be, your emotions will not be hurt that much, and chances of getting angry are very low. But if you have that mentality of wanting to be right every time, you're going to be disappointed and you're going to be angry. So know that things do not always happen the way you want them to go. Things can happen otherwise and you can be wrong. And even if you're right, sometimes things can go the other way. So just keep that in mind and understand that things are not going to always go the way you want them to go, and you're always not right every time. That would save you from getting angry a lot of times. Now, if it comes to anger that has been accumulated for a very long time, what I would suggest you to do is to find somebody to talk to. I think this is one of the best way, if not the best way out, right? If you find somebody to talk to, make sure you find somebody you trust, somebody you rely on, somebody you know will not judge you when you really express and say the deepest things from your heart. Make sure that you express everything withholding nothing. A therapist can also be a very good option, right? You talk to that person, I mean, you don't even know them. You won't fear being judged. You can say whatever that you want to say about the person really pissed you off. They won't judge you, right? And besides, it's their profession to assist you in really getting over that. Now, when it comes to dealing with anger in a particular situation, probably, let's say you're in an argument, right? You're arguing with somebody and you really feel angry, or whatever the situation may be. What I would suggest you do is to keep quiet. Reserve your words, reserve your comment. Why do I say this? This will serve you from saying things that you don't want to say. Because sometimes out of anger, you can say things that are hurtful. And at the end of the day, you regret saying those things. And remember, once words are said, you can never retrieve them back. And the words create the deepest of the scars. Of all the people that I've come across, over 3/4 of the people say that they prefer being beaten than being told hurtful words. Why is that so? It's because words can last for a lifetime. If you tell a child something that is hurtful today, 60 years down the line, they can still remember those words with the exact same weight of pain. So words are very powerful, but the moment you keep quiet and you reserve your words at that moment, you will serve yourself and the person you're talking to, right? This will also avoid a fight, because the moment you might want to say things back, right, chances are high you end up arguing, and well, the voices may escalate and it will lead to fights and all that kind of stuff. So it's wise to just keep quiet in a situation. I use this technique very often, especially if I'm really angry. But I think I can confidently say that it's hard to piss me off, in the sense that it's very hard for me to go off on somebody or to really show my anger. It's a very, 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 very rare very rare, because I've mastered some of these things that I'm really talking about that have really helped me. Because I wouldn't tell you something that has not been working for me. I will tell you things that have really worked for me for a very long time. I do not go off on people. It's very rare to see me do that. It's been years ever since I did that. But it's not that I don't get angry. I do get angry, but I know how to control myself. So this technique of keeping quiet, I usually use it when I'm dealing with people that are older than me. There are some people that even if you want to do anything, you know that they'll whoop you behind. So you don't even want to mess around. So it's better you keep quiet and then you just leave. Not that I want to be violent, no. But most of the times when I'm really angry or I'm talking to somebody who's elderly and they're going off on me or something like that, I usually tend to keep quiet, reserve my comment, wait until they're done, and then apologize, and then I leave their side. And sometimes it could be, it's also best if you can leave the environment, right? Just leave, walk away. I do that a lot. Not walking away actually, but many times if I'm really angry, whatever the situation is, if something really pisses me off, sometimes I go for walks. I walk a lot. Not that every time that I walk I'll be angry, no. I am generally a person who likes taking walks. But it's usually very wise to express your anger through something that you really love, right? I love speaking. I love getting in touch with nature. There are a lot of things that I love doing, but there are two main things that I use for expressing my anger. I usually do that through speaking or just taking a walk, right? Because I love nature. So most of the times I just take a walk or just sit somewhere far away in nature there, and then I just sit by myself, and then I try to evaluate the situation, right? I tend to look at the situation from two different points of views. I also try to put myself in the other person's shoes, and then sometimes you'll be surprised that you really get to understand why the person acted the way they acted. But it's very wise not to be one-sided. It's good to look at both sides and then evaluate. Sometimes you actually see that maybe the way I acted is not the best way out, and maybe I need to apologize. So it's very wise for you to evaluate the situation, give yourself time off, and then think through the situation, and think of the best possible solutions. So yeah, some people express their anger through arts, some people express their anger through like singing, some people through playing sports, some people, I don't know, people have various ways, but it's usually through something that they love. Some people go for jogging, some people just go on the treadmill, right? They just whatever, but a way of expressing their anger sometimes is through what you really love doing. Now these methods have also worked for me. Yes, I usually go to somebody else if I fail to manage it myself, right? Because usually when I go for a walk or I talk to myself, these ones are very effective for me, right? And then I just have my time to evaluate the situation. These things have been working for me for a very long time. But the moment I see that I cannot handle it alone, I usually tend to go to somebody else, right? I have three major people that I approach, and then I talk to, I express my pain, whatever the stress is all about, or whatever the situation may be. And these things have been working for me for a very long time. So I would suggest that you have a variety of methods that you can use to manage your anger or whatever it is. Having one is not so wise, but there are different methods that one can implement to try and control themselves, right? So sometimes, yes, keeping quiet really works, or sometimes just moving away from the environment, just leaving the environment really sometimes helps you to calm down. So when it really comes to anger, somebody may say, "Good, all right, why should I keep quiet when I have to say something?" I would say that it's wise for you to then say what you want to say when you're calm, because when you try to say it out of anger, you never know where the story may go. So it's very wise for you to calm down first and then approach the person. If it's somebody else who really caused you pain, then you approach the person. When you approach them, don't do it in a confrontational way, because the way you try to accuse them or confront them, right, chances are they'll defend themselves, and that will also lead into another argument. So it's very wise to be very careful on how you say it or how you express that anger. Always try to do it in a way that is not hurtful, in a way that is not accusing somebody, but you just have to make sure you express the anger, state the facts, state your concerns, state your needs, and then be clear about it, like what really pissed you off, exactly how you feel about that, but make sure that you do it in an appropriate way that will not also cause an argument or any other form of havoc. Some people go for yoga, but many people also adopt to many physical exercises. Physical exercises do help a lot in expressing your anger or just getting rid of the stress and all that. It's also very wise to exercise frequently. That will help with a great deal, trust me.